Our final speaker this morning is contestant 108, presenting a speech entitled, Yow.
You know, the other day, I had this dream. It was a great dream, oh baby. It was the dream that all Asian men dream of. I was tall. Really, really tall. A whopping 7 feet tall. Yeah, I was 7 feet tall. But I wasn't just tall, nah. I was an NBA superstar. You know that Yao Ming guy? Yeah, he ain't got nothing on me. I was slam dunking on Shaq, shooting threes over Kobe, and making LeBron James cry like the baby. I even had little kids lining up at Foot Locker to buy my shoes. The Air Cliffords. But the best part about being tall, bar none, was that everywhere I went, people would just have to look up to me. Everywhere I went, people would come up to me, flood me, and say, "Hello! Hello! You are tall! Like a god." Yeah, that's when I woke up. But sadly, when I woke up that morning, I couldn't help but feel powerless, weak, unimportant, because I wasn't as tall as I had dreamed, so I thought that no one could look up to me. You see, it's become this misconception, a lie in our society, that we need to be big, tall, powerful, or larger than life, like a basketball player, to have people look up to us. And that us little guys, the people that aren't necessarily famous or well-known, that we can't make an impact on the people around us. We're always looking up to other people, right? Ever since we were young, it's the movie stars that create those really catchy phrases, the politicians that are constantly shaping our world, and the music artists that dictate how best to study the Kabbalah. And of course, how to dress. I mean, we have girls as young as 6 trying to dress like Britney Spears, and they don't even do a good job. You see, people like Colin Powell, Bill Gates, and Bono intimidate us in the sense that we don't think we can make a mark as large as them, whether it be because of their political influence, wealth, or just altruism. So we think that we are worth less as individuals. I mean, come on, chances are I will never be as big as Oprah, metaphorically speaking, or as big as Rosie, literally. But it's this attitude that permeates our society. Instead, we need to find the Yao inside all of us, a belief that we don't need to be giants in order to cast great shadows. And in order for us to redefine our mentality, we must first understand where influence originates from. Secondly, how it is lacking in our society. And finally, how we can all say, "Hey, Yao, look up to me." In his book, The Science of Influence, author Kevin Hogan clarifies that we all have the potential to shape the people around us. There is not a single person who isn't a role model in some way. Even Paris Hilton. Although she tends to use the phrase role-playing instead of role modeling, yeah, she's become a role model to many in the fashion industry. Yeah, that's hot. But maybe not as hot as the Cookie Monster from Sesame Street. You see, producers are now toning down the amount of cookies he eats per show to discourage obesity in children. What next? Change his name to Organic Cantaloupe Monster? But even big-time celebrities are largely impacted by the most common of individuals. After a near-death experience for his younger brother, Michael, Ashton Kutcher was touched, motivated to be a better person. You know, maybe he wanted to start helping out the elderly, so he started to date Demi Moore. The point is, good guidance doesn't come from height or good looks. It comes from heart, wisdom, and compassion. It comes from the Yao inside all of us. As psychologist Douglas Eby notes, role models can serve as examples of how to discover and realize your own unique talents, and inspiration to do more, to be more authentic. The truth is, we all influence whether we think about it or not. In fact, children whose parents are active in their lives tend to read faster, do better on tests, and are even more likely to graduate from high school. Then why is it that parents, on average, spend 7 minutes of quality time with their children per day? And it's this exact same attitude that leads me to my second point, where we actually see this lack of influence in our society. A study done by Ken Futernick revealed that growing numbers of teachers are leaving the classrooms not because of their lack of material wealth, but because, get this, they feel as though they aren't making a difference. In our world today, it is becoming all too easy for us to feel short and insignificant when we are actually tall. I mean, how many times have you had the chance in school to encourage a classmate but didn't because you were afraid that you might look stupid? Now, how many parents fail to give a hug of encouragement to their children? You know, better yet, who here has not given advice to friends because we're afraid that they won't listen to us? Well, no one can listen to us until we speak. But the ultimate hazard surfaces when we become blinded to our very own responsibility. Not only do we impede our potential to influence those around us, we can harm them. After a long night of work, Catherine Genovese reached her apartment complex. There, a man approached her and immediately began stabbing her. Lights from the nearby apartments turned on as people heard screams from outside. Shaken, the man fled the scene, only to return 5 minutes later. He then continued to rape and stab Catherine. And as her screams became louder, more and more lights illuminated the dark street. Yet despite all of this, during the half-hour rape and eventual murder, 38 witnesses either heard or saw the tragic event. Yet only one of them called the police. And when one of the neighbors was questioned as to why he didn't call, all he said was, "I didn't want to get involved." When we are too scared, too timid about getting involved with each other's lives, then we miss the ability to influence them, and in some cases, save them. You see, each person there had the power to change what happened, but chose not to. And I'll tell you that it's in that moment when we believe that we can't be Yaos, whether it be making a simple phone call or just being a role model to your friends, that we succumb to our own insecurities. But when we look back at who has made a difference in this world, I'll tell you, each one of them possessed this Yao attitude. They never doubted their abilities and always recognized the weight of their words and actions. Tell Martin Luther King Jr. that his words had no effect, and you belittle the entire civil rights movement. Go ahead, tell Napoleon, who's one of the shortest but greatest military commanders of all time, that he had no influence, and I swear he'd punch you. In a very uncomfortable place. Tell David Bernstein, who runs Operation Aware, that he means nothing to the 30,000 kids he talks to each year about making the right decisions in life. I guess it boils down to this one question, so hear me out. Who in your life looks up to you? You see, people don't just look up to us in dreams. It's in reality, in everyday life. It's not just movie stars, celebrities, and others that mean something. I swear it's all of us. Each person here in this auditorium needs to wholeheartedly believe, Yao, I can make a difference. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we shouldn't look up to those who have achieved stardom, but we cannot allow them to outshine and prevent us from seeing the stars that surround us on a daily basis. You know, teachers, friends, parents, coaches. We don't need to dream to be role models any longer. We already are. So, looking back at my dream, I guess it wasn't so bad that I woke up and I was still short. Hey! I can still dribble the ball all the way to the rim and then pass it off to my friend who's 6'5". But what I realized is, dream or not, tall or not, my life matters. Seriously, your lives matter. And when we realize that we don't have to be the president, CEO, or even superstar for that matter, it is in that moment that we can all stand proud and say, yeah, I make a difference.